Protests in Egypt have swelled so much that the size of the demonstrations is now bigger than when the public was demonstrating against longtime ruler Hosni Mubarak back in 2011. Yesterday, in the June 30th protests are being called the biggest in Egypt's history, with the Egyptian army estimating that millions of protesters took to the streets. And they continue to fill the streets day after day in a festival-like atmosphere in Tahrir Square. And night after night, dozens of those protesters turned violent, smashing windows, throwing Molotov cocktails into buildings, and squaring off with police. At least 16 people were killed and more than 780 were wounded Sunday and Monday during the demonstrations. Egypt's army has now given President Mohamed Morsi and his government 48 hours to respond to the demands of the protesters, or it says it will step in and restore order. For the very latest coming out of Cairo, we turn now to Beltrue.
Extraordinary scenes across the country as hundreds of thousands come back to the streets for a second day of protests against President Mohamed Morsi. As you can probably see behind me, there's a huge gathering here at the presidential palace. The resounding chant is Erhal, which means leave. They say enough's enough, the president must go. This comes just after a statement by the military who said that unless the president comes up with a solution that will fulfill the demands of the people in 48 hours, they will, quote, create a roadmap for the future of Egypt. Many people here are interpreting this as a military intervention, and this has split the nation. On one half, people are pleased that the military will get involved. They're fed up with the escalating violence and seen a number of people die in clashes leading up to this big demonstrations. On the other side, people are saying that the military, when they were in power, the 1 year after Hosni Mubarak stepped down, had an appalling human rights record, and we saw little democratic change. So we're still seeing a divided Egypt. Very tense scenes here with massive demonstrations against the president. Speaking to protesters in the protests today, they told me they've seen no change in the last year since the president took power. They talked about a failing economy, absolutely no job opportunities, chronic fuel and water shortages, a bread crisis, as well as human rights abuses on the part of the state, and endemic torture in the police force. The promises that President Morsi made when he came to power, he has not fulfilled, and therefore he is incapable of running the country. He also complained about the Islamist organization he's a part of, the Muslim Brotherhood, saying they have taken the monopoly of power, and this is not democratic. The Islamists, for their part, who are also staging a sit-in just a few kilometers away from where I'm standing now, say that the president was democratically elected, and they will stand by him, and he should finish his 4 years in power, and that it's undemocratic to expect him to step down. However, with this latest statement from the military, who are basically putting Morsi between a rock and a hard place, either he fulfills the demands of the people, which is that he resigns, or the military intervene, I think we're going to be seeing possibly presidential elections very, very soon.
That was RT's Beltrue.